this morning. Well, we're talking about the Lord's Prayer, popular prayer for hundreds of thousands of years, a prayer that has transcended time and still is powerful today, the Lord's Prayer. We looked at it from Luke's perspective, Luke chapter 11, 1 and 2, where there was the setup where his disciples actually asked Jesus to teach them how to pray like John taught his disciples to pray. And Jesus, without any ego in the way, taught them how to pray and said, when you pray, begin with our Father. And so we dealt with the audacity to call God Father, because in biblical times, when you said that someone was your father, you were saying that you were equal to them and that you would even be able to exceed them. So it was taboo to call God your Father. It was blasphemous because you were saying you were equal to God and that you were able to become even greater than your Father. So when Jesus said that God was his Father, that's why they desired to stone him to death. That's why they desired to kill him, because he had the audacity to say our Father and to change the narrative, to change the picture of how people saw God and how people saw themselves. And so that prayer continues with our Father which art in heaven. And so I had to go back to Matthew chapter 6 and verse number 9 to get that which art in heaven part, because it's not in Luke's gospel in chapter 11. So we went back to Matthew to get our Father which art in heaven. And today we're speaking about heaven, our Father which art in heaven. Now, it's important that you understand that in biblical times that they saw three dimensions of heaven. In biblical times, they saw three dimensions of heaven. The first dimension of heaven, and these are not our points, it's just information. The first dimension of heaven, well, maybe it is. We'll use these as our points today. The first dimension of heaven was the sky. Directly above the earth was the first dimension of heaven. Pulley point number one, the first dimension of heaven was the sky, where you see the clouds, where the rain comes. If you've ever been on a plane, they say, we got to 10,000 feet. We've got to 30,000 feet. So when you're at the level with the clouds and the level where the rain comes from, that was considered the first level of heaven. All right, which was the sky. The second level of heaven was considered above the skies. It was considered the atmospheric heaven. So pulley point number one, the first heaven was the sky just above the earth that we can see when we look up and we see the sky. The second dimension of heaven in Jewish philosophy and history, that there was an atmospheric heaven that was above the stars in the skies, and they believed that that's where the angels were, and that's where the demons were, and that's where the warfare was, the spiritual wickedness in high places. That's where principalities and powers, that it was just above the sky, that there was a second dimension of heaven, which was the atmospheric heaven, which is where the warfare and the conflict between good and evil took place. All right, so pulley point number one was the sky, was the first dimension of heaven. The second dimension of heaven was the atmospheric heaven above the skies and the clouds. And then the third dimension of heaven was actually considered the throne of God. They believed that God dwelt in the third heaven. Even Paul makes a reference and says that I was in the spirit. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse number 2, he said, I was in the spirit and I went to the third heaven. The third heaven was considered the throne of God, the place where God literally lived and dwelled. All right. So when it says our Father which art in heaven, Jesus is speaking from a Hebrew perspective, and he's thinking about the third dimension of heaven. All right. He's thinking about the throne of God, our Father which art in heaven. And he's connecting with them where they are in consciousness to be able to take them beyond to another dimension of consciousness, when you'll see later in the prayer where he talks about thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. So he just doesn't leave them with that God is in heaven and you down here, but he actually gives them the kingdom perspective later and further on in the prayer. And we'll get into that that. But he just starts them with where they are. Our Father, which art in heaven. That gives them a prayerful place that I'm connecting with the highest dimension of God. And so he says, our Father, which art in heaven. So he's bringing them to a highest level. Wherever they are in conscious, he's bringing them to the highest dimension. Wherever they see God wherever they see God living, he's bringing them to that place to know that your prayers are directly connecting to God, that your prayers are directly heard by God, that your prayers are ascending to the highest heaven. So that's when he says, our Father which art in heaven. And so he's showing them that prayer is something that ascends to the highest dimension of where God is. And so on a very physical level, that's what Jesus is talking about when he says, our Father which art in heaven. I desire, as I started earlier this morning in my prayer, to help you be able to create a heaven right here on earth. All right. That when you say our Father which art in heaven, that you are able to connect and create a heavenly place wherever you are. That you're able to baptize yourself in the presence of God wherever you are. And so that's where we did that ninefold blessing of ourselves. And so when you can create heaven right where you are. Come and affirm with me. I can create heaven right where I am. I can create this throne of God right where I am. You have the power, you have the ability to be able to create this throne of God, this presence and power of God, our Father, which art in heaven, right here, right now. You're able to create that. You're able to inhabit that. You're able to live in that right here and right now. And so let me tell you how to create heaven, how to create our Father, which art in heaven, and to create and bless yourself and create that. It's a ninefold blessing, all right? And so it starts with God in me. Come on, take a deep, conscious, cleansing breath. God in me. And so that's where you start with our Father, which art in heaven. God in me. All right? And then it's God flows through me. And you're creating heaven. God functions as me. So you've gone to 3 dimensions right there. God in me. And this God that's in me is not just trapped up in me. But God is in me so that God can flow through me. God functions as me, that when people see me, they see God. When you see me, you see the Father. No more I, but the Christ that lives in me. So you got threefold. Y'all got that? God in me, God flows through me, God functions as me. All right? God above me. So whatever is above me, whether it's the first dimension of heaven, the sky, whether it's the second dimension of heaven, the atmosphere, whether it is the third dimension of heaven, the throne of God, God above me, all right? God beneath me. That takes out of the fear of hell. That whatever is beneath me, if I make my bed in hell, even God is there. God beneath me. Whatever is beneath me, the sea, the ground, hell, whatever is beneath me, the grave, deeper than that, God is beneath me. All right? So, and then so we've got 5 dimensions. God in me, God flowing through me, God functioning as me, God above me, God beneath me. All right? So then we take this baptism, our Father which art in heaven, even deeper, creating this heaven. God beside me to the left of me. God beside me to the right of me. So that means that whatever is beside me is God. Whether it's to my left or to my right, it's God. Our Father which art in heaven. And I'm creating that heavenly place right here on earth. All right? And then we go God behind me, which that means that anything that's in my past, God is in my past. And God cleans up whatever is in my past. All right? And then the 9th dimension, or that 9th fold part of the blessing, is God in front of me. That whatever is in my future, God is there. And so you can create a heavenly place wherever you are. Just take that moment and create that heaven. Our Father which art in heaven, right where you are. God in me. God flows through me. God functions as me. God above me. God beneath me. God beside me to the left. God beside me to the right. God behind me. God in front of me. And when you begin to become conscious of the power and presence of God that is in you, that flows through you, that functions as you, that is above you, that is beneath you, that is beside you, that is beside you, that is behind you, that is in front of you, what else is there? God is the everywhere evenly present spirit of absolute good. When we say that, that's what we mean. When we say God is everywhere evenly present, when we say God is all there is nothing else but God in various degrees and various forms and various manifestations. That's what we mean. We're saying that God is not just out there above me, but God is also in me. And God is not just in me, God is all around me. God is all there is. God is the only show in town, playing in every theater, on every screen of my life. And so whenever you forget that, do a spiritual baptism of yourself and create a heaven right where you are. We're going to do it one last time together. And give me some thumbs up, give me some high fives, give me some hearts if you're processing this, if you're understanding how to pray, Our Father which art in heaven, and how to create that heaven on 9 various dimensions of where you are. Give me some thumbs up, give me some high five, give me some hearts if you're understanding that you have the power to create Our Father which art in heaven wherever you are. Right here and right now, you have the power to create Our Father which art in heaven right here, right now. That you have the power to create the habitation right here and right now when you become conscious of it. This is the unfolding of your consciousness. This is your awareness of God. All right? Y'all ready to do it one more time? All right? All right. Take a deep, conscious, cleansing breath. Release it. Let me tell you, it'll calm you. It'll relax you. It'll remind you of the truth. It will put whatever is going on in your life in perspective. All right, let's try it again. God in me. God flows through me. God functions as me. God above me. God beneath me. God beside me to my left. God beside me to my right. God behind me. God in front of me. God is all there is. Woo! Baptize yourself in that every day. Walk in that awareness every day and create the life that you desire, knowing that God is everywhere evenly. There is no spot where God is not. Whether you're talking about above you, beside you, beneath you, below you, God is all there is. And so I function in that awareness right here and right now. Our Father, which art in heaven. Thank you so much for being a part of the daily download. Share this on your page. Somebody needs this 9-fold blessing. Somebody needs this 9-fold baptism to really immerse themselves in the presence of God. All right, so share this. Give me some high fives. Give me some hearts. Give me some thumbs up if you're going to share this on your page right now. I mean, right here, right now. Not you're going to do it later when you get a chance, but stop wherever you are. Whatever you are doing, share this on your page right now. Tag some people that you know. Tag them in this post right here, right now, so that they can really understand what that means when we say Our Father which art in heaven, and how to create those heavenly places right here and right now. All right, share this on your page with somebody. All right, sow a seed today. Meet a need, boost this post. Let's get this message of Our Father which art in heaven to thousands of people today. So whatever you sow today will help us spread this message to hundreds, even thousands of people. Our Father which art in heaven. All right. Until tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Remember, God is doing something wonderful in me, because that's where it starts. Behold, the kingdom of God is within you. Amen. That's where it starts. And then it spreads all around. Ooh, you create an aura. You create an atmosphere. You create an energy. You create a hedge of protection around you. I love you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Daily Download. Until tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Remember, God is doing something wonderful in me, and God is doing something wonderful in you.